Friends, Lori here. I'm here today to do my March TBR. March is definitely a longer month. Also, a lot of things have changed in March. I am no longer working from home. I'm commuting again, and a lot of things have changed in that regard. So, which means I'm gonna have a lot more reading time in theory, and also a lot more listening time, which is super nice. I'm also going to do some themed reading vlogs for you this month, and I'm going to sort of talk through them in this video. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first section I am going to talk about is the group book picks for the Time Warp YA Book Club. And sadly, I was unable to finish Fire last month just because I ran out of time. So the first book I'm going to read in this month is going to be Fire, which is the second Graceling book, and then also Bitter Blue, which is the third one. And I'm probably going to read those back to back. Because they're on one of my Kindles, so I'll probably read. They're on my Nook actually. So I'll probably read those the first two. And also the other Time Warp YA book club for this month is Goddess in the Machine, which is another Owl Crate pick. So those are the three book club books I'm going to be reading this month, and I'm really excited to read them all. But I've heard some really good things about them, and I actually haven't read science fiction in a bit, so that will be nice. So that's my reading club books that I have, and I'm really excited to dive into those this month. I do have a little bit more listening time in my hands. I did decide to up my audiobooks to 3 audiobooks this month. So the first one is I Like to Watch. Here is a photo. So this is a compilation of a couple of TV essays about a TV journalist, which I really have. I like reading books like that. TV is definitely my primary medium to watch. I love watching TV shows, and this was recommended to me by Super Space Chick, and I'm actually listening to the audiobook already, and I'm really liking it. It's definitely an audiobook that I really like when I'm kind of on a train and I'm kind of have a longer commute. I kind of just listen to it because I do need to sort of focus on this one a little bit. But I am really liking it, and I'm hoping to pick up some more TV themed reads in the future because I like entertainment a lot. I am a theater teacher, so the more information I have as a backdrop, the more information I can sort of pass on to my students. And then the other political themed one is The Threat by Andrew McCabe. Here's a photo. I finished this before March 1st because I'm actually listening to it this weekend while I'm doing all my prep stuff for the end of the month, and it's only let me see, I think it's 8 hours. I think I don't think it's that long. I think it's yeah, I only have 8 hours left in it, so it's possible I might actually finish it this weekend, but this is sort of gives a deep dive look into the FBI, which I've always been fascinated by, but also talks a little bit about Andrew McCabe's time in the Trump White House, which I think is just interesting. So I'm really excited. I actually started reading. I'm about an hour into it, and it's really interesting so far. I've seen him a bunch on a bunch of news programs, and I just want his take on a bunch of things. I'm really excited to read that one. And then the last audiobook that I'm planning to read this month, I may actually get to a few more, is Sir Philip with Love by Julia Quinn, which is the 4th Bridgerton book, and this is Eloise's book. Here's a pretty photo. Eloise and Penelope are 2 of my favorite characters in that series, and I just read Penelope's book, and I'm really excited to read this one. This one is also a book told through letters, I think. And it was sort of teased at the very end of Penelope books what happened, so I'm really excited to dive into this one. And also, if I do wind up finishing this one earlier in the month and I finish my nonfiction reads, I will probably read Francesca's book because she is next. Um, I know that it's a widow romance, which I have heard super good things about from other people. Peace Love Book said that she likes widow romances a lot. I haven't read one, so I'm really excited to dive into this book as well if I have time. But I am making my way through the Bridgerton book series books. I would love to be caught up by the time the second season comes out, probably next year. I decided to do a little bit of a TBR challenge every single month for me, focusing on one shelf on my bookshelf, which is actually right here. Here, I can show you. So that's the shelf I'm pulling books from, 2 a month. One is random, and one is chosen by random number generator. So the 2 books that got picked this month was Etiquette and Espionage by Gail Carriger. And this is sort of a Regency romance book, but it has like I think it's like a finishing school, but also teaches girls how to kill people, which I think is fascinating. Like it really is so fun and so cool. And I've heard really good things about this series, and it's actually set in the same world as the Parasol Protectorate series. And I think there's like 4 books out. This is also a steampunk book. I've heard really, really fun things, so I really hope that I like this one. And I just have to go find the other ones that are actually in my shed. But yeah, I'm glad that I wound up picking this one up, or the number generator chose. And then the other book that I wound up choosing was The Last Equation by Student Gibbs. This is a middle grade book, I think. Um, yeah, this is a middle grade book. It's a character who's a genius. Charlie Thorne is a genius. Charlie Thorne is a thief. Charlie Thorne isn't old enough to drive, but now it's up to her to save the world. And I think the FBI like enlist her to kind of save the world. I've had this book for so long. I think I got this book at like Comic Con 2 or BookCon 2 years ago. But Stuart Gibbs is also the one that wrote the Spy School series, and I've never got into those series, but I was looking for a little bit of an upper middle grade, and this is one that was recommended to me at that con. So I'm really excited and hope I get to read it. And I also did want to say that I do have a physical copy of Goddess in the Machine. I also do have an e-arc of it as well, which will be nice for my NetGalley score, which is abysmal at this moment. But this also has gold papers, and this is a science fiction read, and I haven't read science fiction a lot recently, so I'm really hopeful that I enjoy it. So yeah, these are the 2 books that I'm pulling from my shelfie tag, and I hope that I enjoy both of them, but I will definitely give you guys my thoughts next month. The next 3 books I'm just going to briefly chat about because they're coming out this month. I'm not putting them on my TBR, but they're probably going to get read because I'm really excited for that. And that is Chain of Iron, which I'm definitely reading the second I get it. I'm going to get the audiobook when it comes out because my book from Good Choice Reading is probably going to take a few weeks to get here, and I just can't wait that long. So I'm definitely going to get the audiobook for that, and that's probably going to take me through most of the month to listen to that one because it's quite long, but I need to know what happens to these characters. Also, Bone Crier's Dawn is coming out, which is the sequel to Bone Crier's Moon, which I loved last year. That was on like one of my best reads of the year list. And also Lost in a Neverwood by Aiden Thomas is coming out, and that's like a Peter Pan inspired retelling story set in the contemporary world. Really excited for that. I am really hopeful that I'll get to that, and I'm actually going to probably purchase that this month, I hope. But yeah, I'm really excited for all those books, and also the third Cassidy Blake book is. I ordered the book box from Owl Crate Jr., but they said it might be a little bit delayed because of shipping and stuff like that. Story of our life right now. So I don't know when that book's going to show up or when it will show up, but hopefully it shows up soon. I'm still waiting for my box from Owl Crate as well. So I think shipping, especially because they're from Canada, is a little bit delayed. So I might actually, for my April TBR, I might have a few more books because they just might arrive a little bit on the later side. So those are the new releases that I'm looking forward to. I don't normally put those on my TBR because I never know if I'm going to get them or not, like the month that they come out. But I did want to mention them here because there's a big possibility I'm going to read a couple of those this month as well. I am also trying to get better at reading on my e-reader a little bit more. So some of the ebooks I'm hoping to focus on this week. The first one is Fable by Adrienne Young. A water themed adventure novel, and I've heard really good things, and actually the sequel is coming out, so, and I actually have an arc of that as well, so if I read this I might actually wind up reading the sequel. It has to do with one of my reading vlogs that I'll talk about later in this video, but I definitely want to tackle Fable first, and I hope to namesake as well. The next one I'm really excited about is These Hollow Vows. This cover is stunning, so I have to attach a picture. And I believe this is a Fae-themed novel. I got this e-arc from ALA, and I'm really excited to dive into what I've heard some really, really good things about it. It's been a bit since I've read like a pure Fae novel, actually since Queen of Nothing. So I want to kind of dive back into the drama because I really have enjoyed it. And then the last ebook that I want to talk about is World Between Blinks by Amy Kaufman and Ryan Crowden. Here's a photo. A middle grade story that has to do with time travel, and I have really liked both these authors' works on their own, and I hope that this book is everything that I'm looking for. It's also supposed to be a super fast-paced read, which is something that I'm really looking forward to, especially since I'm back to commuting. And this will be a book that I read on my new Nook, and I'm really excited about that. So the next couple of books I'm going to chat through are all the sequels that are on my TBR for this month, and that will also be the first reading vlog. Well, one of the reading vlogs I'm hoping to do this month is a sequel themed reading vlog. So I'm going to kind of talk through the books that I'm going to pull from for that reading vlog. I am going to do a sequel reading vlog this month, and I'll probably devote a full week to sequels and companion books. So these are the books I'm going to sort of pull for that reading vlog. I may actually wind up reading a few more, but this is the priority. I want to tackle Good Girl but Bad Blood, which is the second book in a Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is a podcast element, and the last book I read that had a podcast, I really liked it, and I also really liked the first one in the series and would love to keep up to date. This book I got in the summer because I think it came out earlier in England, but it comes out relatively soon here, so this is also another 2021 read, but I just got it a little bit early. Another one, a companion book, is There's Something About Sweetie, which is a companion book to When Dimple Met Rishi. This follows Astria and Sweetie. I think you met them in that first book. It's been a while since I read that series, but I really liked From Twinkle with Love and Curses and Kisses, so I hope that I really like this one as well. And then another one that I'm really excited for is Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahoran, and God and Monsters was revealed. That I think it's, no, I don't know the actual name of the third one, but this one is a witch-themed fantasy novel, and I really liked book one when I read it. I just have not got around to reading this one. The next one I got recently from Owl Crate is All the Tides in Fate by Adeline Grace, which is the sequel to All the Stars in Teeth. I really like that one as well, and I love this cover, so I hope that I get around to reading it as well. And the last sequel is The Potion Diaries Going Viral. This is such a lighthearted fantasy book, and I haven't got around to finishing the series. There was supposed to be a fourth book, and I think that it just kind of got pushed, but I really did like this. It's definitely like a fantasy light series, and it's been a while since I actually read it, so I hope to get around to the final book in the series soon. And then the next book we're going to talk about is just a couple of contemporary books that are still on my TBR that I hope to tackle this month as well. A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow by Laura Taylor Namey. I've heard really good things about this book, and I know that it has some sort of baking element, and I normally love books about that, and I heard that it's super cute and super fun, and also does deal with mental health issues, which is something that I have been enjoying in my reads recently. So yeah, really excited to read this one. And then another library pick for me is It Only Happens in the Movies by Holly Boren, and this is just another contemporary book. And I love books that have to do with movies. They're just sort of fun. So these are the two of the contemporary books that I would love to tackle this month, if it's possible. And then the next are just a bunch of random books that are just still on my TBR. And again, this is a very, very long video and a long TBR. I just like to have a lot of options. And then it's just funny to look back to see what I actually pick up. But another one is Wild Lore, The Accidental Apprentice by Amanda Foody. This is actually coming out in March, and I got this from the publisher in the summer, and I really hope to get around to reading it. I actually have a couple of middle grade books on this, so there might actually be a middle grade reading vlog that I do. I am not committing to that, but if I wind up feeling motivated, I might just read them all in 1 week. We will see. And then another one is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Rosin A. Brown. This was a book I hoped to get to in Black History Month. Didn't happen, but I still have heard really, really incredible things about it and just want to tackle it, hopefully. And then here are two middle grade books that I picked up from the library. One is Cinder and Sparrows by Stephen Bachman, and this is one of the Owl Crate Junior picks, and also Green Glass House by Kate Milford. And I know that this is a perfect book to read in the winter because it has to do with a mysterious house set in the winter. And then the last two physical books I'm going to chat through is Wings of Ebony by J.L. And Sky Hunter by Mary Lou. So most of the books on this TBR did come from my top reads of the year that I want to tackle. I have quite a few lists that I'm just sort of picking from, and I wanted to have most of those books read before April so I can come up with some new lists. And also the last reading vlog I am going to do is an ARC reading vlog. I'm just going to spend a week reading a bunch of arcs. Most of them are going to be from NetGalley. I just have to prepare myself to do that because I get a headache if I read a lot on my Kindle and my Nook. So I'm just going to try to do that towards the end of the month. And one of the books I definitely want to read in that reading blog is a few Disney ones, but also the new Emily Webberly and Austin Sigma Broca reading book that came out. I got an e-arc of that from NetGalley recently, and I'm really excited for that. And then I am still doing the Avengers reading challenge. I'm gonna try to tackle the Spider-Man board because it was just released. It's gonna be released for March, and I'm going to try to tackle that board out. And nonfiction wise, I am still reading Atomic Habits, and I might try to make a little bit more progress on Way of Kings. I didn't get through nearly as much of it as I thought I was going to get through. But yeah, that's sort of the nature of the beast. But let me know in the comments what are some books that are on your March TBR, and I'll talk to you guys for my next video. Bye.